Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 106. It's really not day 106, but I'm traveling, so I'm recording a day early of our Be a Better You annual challenge. Today we're talking about criticism and judgment in relationships. This is a really big topic and one that most of us have experience with, but I want to be really clear by defining together what criticism is and why it is one of the most destructive things that can possibly happen in our relationships and communication in our relationships. Criticism can be defined as the act of pointing out perceived flaws, faults, or mistakes in another person, usually in a way that makes that person feel small or inadequate. It often is accompanied with grand generalizations like you always or you never. Judgment, on the other hand, is involved in forming an opinion about someone's character, choices of lifestyle, often without really even understanding what the situation is. It implies a moral high ground and some type of superiority and separating the critic from the judged in their mind, that they are far superior in some way, shape, or form. Both extremely destructive to our relationships. And if you are being judgmental, or if you are criticizing other people, meaning finding fault, belittling, being rude, or name calling, etc., bullying usually, it's time to take a look at, I guess, a look in the mirror and ask yourself if that's how you really want to behave. We're going to compare these criticism and judgment to constructive feedback in a couple of minutes, but let's talk about some different types of relationships and how this shows up in those relationships. Romantic relationships, criticism and judgment can be especially damaging in our primary relationship because we're vulnerable. And when we're vulnerable, we're more easily hurt, literally, by people's criticism and judgment of us. Parent-child relationships, criticism and judgment can shape a child's self-image for life. How crazy is that? I think about, oh my gosh, sometimes I scream at my granddaughters. Am I causing them irreparable damage because I'm afraid they're going to hurt themselves or something? So we want to be really careful with that. Friendships also, if you find yourself or your friend being critical or judgmental of you or other people, guess what? When you're not with them, they might be being critical or judgmental of you. So instead of assuming that, have a conversation about it and try to steer the relationship in a direction that is more about both of your shared dreams and goals and objectives and achieving what you want and what's going on in your life, not what's going on in other people's lives. I'll talk about professional relationships when we get to Supersize Your Business. So what is, I'm going to clearly delineate the difference between criticism and feedback. Criticism focuses on the person. Feedback focuses on the behavior. Criticism blames and shames. Feedback encourages improvement. Criticism is generalized and vague. Usually there isn't a specific example given. It's just you always do this, you always act this way, you always embarrass me, etc. Feedback, on the other hand, is specific and actionable. When you said this is how it impacted me. Next time, could you please ask me using please and thank you? Criticism is often emotionally charged. Feedback is calm and respectful. It's designed to help the person that you're giving the feedback to. Criticism breaks trust and feedback builds trust. So we want to take criticism and judgment when other people are doing it to us, or if we're doing it to anyone else, we want to turn that into constructive feedback. We want to turn it into something that enhances and builds and improves the relationship, doesn't destroy the relationship. The psychology behind criticism and judgment tends to be from the provider's own insecurity. I have this discussion with my youngest sister a lot. She thinks that some people just think that they're entitled and better than other people. I think that it always comes from some sort of insecurity, some deep down belief that they're really not good enough, so they have to put other people down to make themselves feel better. That's my take on it. Hers is, again, different, but that's a cool thing. We can have differing opinions and still appreciate one another's point of view. So how do you handle criticism and judgment constructively? We're going to talk about 4 ways to do that. Number 1, pause before reacting, right? When somebody criticizes me or judges me, my first natural instinct is to fight back, right? Or to somehow respond in an emotional way. But that's a trap. And the better way to respond is to take a breath and then respond with curiosity. Well, what makes you say that? What makes you say that, or why would you interpret the situation that way? Why would you call me fat and ugly? Number 2, set boundaries. Let others know that their words affect you. When you say things like that, I feel disrespected. When I feel disrespected, I'd rather not talk to you. I'd rather talk about and have a respectful two-way conversation than feel disrespected in this conversation. Number 3, seek clarity. Ask questions. What are you hoping I'll take away from what you just said? If you told me I'm fat and ugly, what do you expect me to take away from that? Seriously. Number 4, reframe the situation. To view the criticism as data. Hey, it's just one person's data point in terms of how they view me. And often it's how they view themselves. So we want to shift our culture of feedback and to one of feedback and compassion. We want to make sure that our environment, the environments that we operate in, if we own a business, that our business environment is based on feedback, and we want to cultivate feedback, and we want to cultivate compassion and a great working environment for everybody. And criticism and judgment really has no place in that. So how do you shift? Well, we use I statements, right? We talked about some of these things yesterday. We ask questions for clarification. Instead of accusing, we ask open-ended questions like, can you help me understand what happened? Can you help me understand what's going on here? We use and practice empathy. We try to put ourselves in the other person's shoes and try to imagine what the other person might be feeling or needing in the situation that they would criticize or be judgmental. And then finally, we celebrate efforts, right? We look for improvement. We look for positive, and we give positive reinforcement when we notice improvement, right? So what's our exercise for today? What is our action item? Our action item is to, number 1, think about a situation where either you were criticized or judged, and think about that situation, or when you criticized or judged someone else. I know we hate to admit that we do it, but we pretty much do it every single day. Sometimes we just do it in our mind. And guess what? That's almost the same as, but not quite as bad as, if we actually act upon it and say it, right? So step 1, we're going to reflect on a recent interaction that we had. We're going to take 15 minutes to do this exercise. I really want you to work hard on this and do this exercise, because I think it's really powerful, and I think it's important that we move from being critical and judgmental and assuming things about other people and about their motives without first actually finding out what's really going on. Second, identify the underlying need or emotion that led to feel critical, that the person either felt like they had to criticize you or that you had to criticize someone. Were you hurt, afraid, disappointed, overwhelmed? How were you feeling? And then number 3, rewrite your criticism as feedback. Flip the switch and turn it from criticizing somebody to feedback. So what's an example of this? Your original criticism, you say to someone, you're so selfish, you never think of anyone else. Well, that's a pretty grandiose statement, because we all think of other people sometimes. Reframe the feedback to, I felt dismissed when my needs weren't considered. I would really appreciate being included when plans are made. Well, I never feel this way, like all the time. Not all the time, but sometimes. And then step 4, if appropriate, share the reframed feedback with the person that you criticized or judged previously. The 4th step, I will say, is optional. It depends on the relationship. It depends on if it's somebody you care enough about to want to have a better relationship with. If it's just you did it to a stranger, because how many people are rude to strangers? I try not to be rude to anybody, but I'm sure sometimes I am. And sometimes I'm critical. And I know, like everybody else, I could improve and get better. If you would like to, for extra credit, you can share in the comments below the criticism and then the reframed criticism. You don't have to tell us who was involved or if it was upon you or someone else. Just share so we can learn from one another. That's it. big topic, big topic. I could actually do a whole day seminar on this because one of the things I realized following my sudden cardiac arrest was that judgment and criticism had been a huge part of my life and a very negative, destructive part of my life, probably partially leading up to my sudden cardiac arrest and the stress involved in that. All right, any questions? Hit me up. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.